The clock is ticking, the options are narrowing, and the pressure on Kent Hughes is building with every passing day. Free agency has opened, the trade market has been relentlessly unforgiving, and the Montreal Canadiens still find themselves searching for that elusive top-six scoring upgrade that can push this roster from promising contender to legitimate Stanley Cup threat. And now, a name has emerged from the Steel City that demands serious examination, even if the fit comes loaded with complications and question marks. Rickard Rakell of the Pittsburgh Penguins has been linked to Montreal by none other than Elliotte Friedman, and while a deal is far from imminent, the connection reveals something important about where this franchise stands and where it needs to go. Friedman's words landed with the casual precision that only he can deliver. Someone else told me they thought it might be really a good fit in Montreal, and I have no idea if it's even possible. One of those two Pittsburgh wingers, Rust or Rakell, but he looked at Montreal and he said, I thought with another scorer, like one of those two guys, they might look pretty good. When Friedman floats a name, even with caveats, the hockey world pays attention, and the logic, on the surface at least, is genuinely compelling. Canadiens have short-term holes, but their long-term goal seems more achievable. Rakell is a 33-year-old veteran winger who posted 48 points in 60 games last season, a rate of production that translates to well over 60 points across a full 82-game schedule. He can play on either wing, providing the kind of lineup flexibility that coaches prize. His contract carries a $5 million cap hit through the next 2 seasons, a number that is remarkably manageable for a team with over $14 million in available cap space. On the surface, Rakell checks boxes that the Canadiens desperately need checked. Proven scorer, affordable contract, versatile deployment, and playoff experience. Canadiens must consider top-6 upgrades. But this is where the story becomes complicated, genuinely and honestly complicated, in ways that demand we look beyond the surface appeal and examine the deeper strategic implications. Kent Hughes has been extraordinarily consistent throughout this entire offseason about one specific principle. He is building for a window, a specific, well-defined championship window that aligns with the prime years of Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov, Slavkovsky, Hudson, and Dobson. Every acquisition he's pursued, every conversation he's engaged in, has been filtered through that lens. Hischier at 26, Marchenko at 25, McTavish at 23. The pattern is unmistakable and the logic is sound. Montreal, looking to add top-6 forward. Rakell is 33 years old. At 33, even for a player who remains genuinely productive, the trajectory only moves in one direction. His best seasons are behind him, not ahead of him. By the time the Canadiens' young core reaches its absolute peak, Rakell will be approaching the end of his career, his contract expiring, and production likely in further decline. This isn't a criticism of Rakell as a player. It's a fundamental reality of professional sports that no athlete escapes. The question Hughes must answer is whether a 2-year offensive boost from a 33-year-old veteran justifies the assets required to acquire him and the cap space consumed that could otherwise be allocated toward longer-term solutions. Then there's the acquisition cost, and this is where the complications compound significantly. Pittsburgh general manager Kyle Dubas is not operating from a position of desperation. He's not looking to dump salary or collect draft picks for a roster reconstruction. Dubas wants younger, NHL-ready talent capable of contributing immediately alongside Sidney Crosby, players who can help the Penguins remain competitive in what may be the final years of the greatest player of his generation's career. That means the Canadiens would need to part with exactly the kind of promising young roster pieces that Hughes has been most reluctant to move throughout this entire offseason. Canadiens must consider top-6 upgrades. This creates a fundamental tension at the heart of any potential Rakell deal. To get him, you give up youth, but acquiring him in the first place is only justified if you're prioritizing the present over the future. For a team that has consistently chosen the future, making an exception for a 33-year-old winger feels philosophically inconsistent with everything Hughes has communicated about the organizational vision. There's also the matter of Rakell's 8-team no-trade list, an additional layer of uncertainty that could render the entire conversation moot regardless of what the two front offices agree upon. If Montreal isn't on his list of approved destinations, the deal simply cannot happen, no matter how much sense it makes on paper or how compelling the trade package might be. The broader context of this moment is equally important to understand. Free agency has arrived, and the market has already delivered some difficult news for the Canadiens. Christian Dvorak, a bottom six center who would have helped with face-offs and penalty killing, signed in Philadelphia for a figure the Canadiens couldn't justify allocating to that role. Joel Armia, a reliable depth forward who gave the organization years of solid service, headed to Los Angeles on a deal that exceeded what Hughes was willing to pay. These departures leave genuine holes in the roster, competition that will now be settled at training camp rather than resolved through the free agent market. Canadiens have short-term holes, but their long-term goal seems more achievable. Hughes himself acknowledged on Tuesday that the Canadiens have $6 and change in remaining cap space, a figure that contextualizes every remaining decision this offseason. That number must cover not just potential acquisitions, but also the re-signing of restricted free agents, the management of roster spots, and the maintenance of organizational depth. Every dollar committed now is a dollar unavailable for flexibility that a long season inevitably demands. Canadiens have short-term holes, but their long-term goal seems more achievable. And yet, the need is real and the urgency is genuine. The Canadiens are a team whose offensive firepower, while exciting, still carries a degree of concentration risk. Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov, and Slavkovsky form a genuinely dangerous core, but a drop-off in scoring depth behind that group is meaningful. Adding another proven scorer, even an older one, would distribute the offensive responsibility more broadly and reduce the pressure on the primary contributors. It would also provide insurance against the injuries that inevitably strike every roster over the course of a grueling NHL season. There's a fascinating subplot also worth monitoring: the internal conversation about Ivan Demidov's long-term positional future. Insiders have suggested that moving Demidov to center remains a possibility that the organization continues to explore. If that transition eventually happens, it could dramatically reshape the entire offensive structure and potentially change the calculus on what kind of external addition makes the most sense. A Demidov at center flanked by proven wingers creates an entirely different lineup than a Demidov on the wing playing behind a traditional second-line pivot. How can the Montreal Canadiens improve on 2024-25? For now, the Rakell connection feels more like due diligence and genuine pursuit, consistent with Hughes' stated approach of calling everyone, understanding the full market, and ensuring no stone is left unturned. Friedman himself hedged appropriately, acknowledging he had no idea if the deal was even possible. This is exploratory intelligence gathering, not a negotiation with a defined endpoint. Contenders like Edmonton and Toronto, with their more immediate championship windows and roster profiles that better match what Dubas wants in return, may ultimately emerge as more natural fits for Rakell if Pittsburgh decides to move him. So, Habs Nation, where do you stand on Rickard Rakell? Is a proven, affordable veteran scorer exactly what this team needs to take the next step, even if his age doesn't perfectly align with the long-term timeline? Or does Hughes stay disciplined, hold his organizational pieces, and trust that the right long-term solution will eventually present itself? Sound off in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in because this offseason still has chapters left to write. We are the Canadiens. We are relentless, and our pursuit of the Stanley Cup never stops. Go Habs go!